Alrighty. There we go. A lot better dismount there.
I noticed yours didn't have as much casualties.
Yes. Yeah, I know. It happens that way, babe. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. So if you've watched the smoked turkey episode, that thing has been taken off like gangbusters and people just loving it. I'm getting views and comments every day on that. And so I thought that since we're into football season and people are still grilling out and everything, that I would do a pizza, grilled pizza. Actually, I'm doing 2 grilled pizzas, doing them my style. And so we'll do that. Stay to the end because I've got some critical thoughts on these pizzas. Alright, so what we're going to do right now is make a very basic pizza dough. Okay, so with this, we're going to do 3/4 cups of unbleached bread flour to 1/4 cup all-purpose flour. With the flour in, we're now going to add in a 1/4 cup of sugar. Next up, we're adding in a 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. Alright, now we're going to stir all this up. Now we're going to add in a 3/4 ounce package of dry yeast, active dry yeast. Again, stir this up. Now we're going to put in a 1/4 cup milk. To that, we're going to also add in a 1/4 cup of olive oil. Now we just stir this up. Alright, I'm going to add just a little bit, maybe a tablespoon more milk, just to give it a little bit more hydration. It wasn't quite to consistency that I wanted, so I put in another tablespoon of milk. Most people have never made spatzel before, so I'm sure they don't know what this consistency is. Think of it as something about twice as thick as cake batter, but not as thick as a normal bread dough. So this is very loose dough. And so I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and I'm going to cover it up and let it sit for probably about 3 days. The whole reason for the 3-day wait is so that it can do an autolyzing process and hydrate the dough and give the yeast time to metabolize most of those sugars, and also be changing up the structure of the dough to give it a lot more flavor. I went with a AP flour so that it's got a little bit better crumb to it, that it's got better texture, better mouthfeel, but I wanted the rigidity of the actual bread dough, bread flour. Because bread flour has a higher protein amount. The olive oil will also assist not only with flavors, but later on in the cooking process, because we're doing this on the grill. So if you're saying, Ken, this isn't a normal pizza dough, you said it's a normal pizza dough. Well, yeah, it is. It's the way I make pizza dough. So this will set for 3 days. Yes, I put milk in it. Most people don't put milk in their pizza dough. That's going to help it out with a number of things and also help with the ferment. So we have all these things being added in so that we get the best possible product at the end of the cook. So in 3 days, you will see this dough. It will have risen, it will have changed, and we'll start working with it. Alright, so with this, one thing you can do is, if you want it to have more of a pronounced yeasty flavor, which I do, is I just took my spoon after I took it out of the refrigerator and I just kind of moved it around till it formed a nice ball. It already spread out and expanded. And you can leave it out, during these 3 days. If you don't want to leave it in the refrigerator and you want it to get that really yeasty flavor that I love, you can put it in your oven, cover it up, leave it out for a few hours. It'll build back up, put back in the refrigerator when you're done at the end of the day or whatever. Now again, it'll proof in the refrigerator fine without you doing anything. But if you if you really want to build that yeasty flavor, take your spoon, just kind of move it around as in a ball, leave it in the oven for a day or whatever. Then at the end of the day, put it back in the refrigerator, and it'll continue to proof. That morning when you wake up, it'll be all proofed, and you can take it, and because it's cold, you'll be able to use your spoon and move it around. Now this is a very wet dough, I understand that. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're going to add more flour to it later for a final proofing, and we need to have that flavor build up, so when we add the extra flour for the strength, then we'll still have the flavor, because I'm wanting a very strong rigid dough because we're putting it on the grill. I just wanted to show you what this dough looks like after it's risen. So this right here is very active. I've left it out today to rise, been in the oven, and so it's going back into the refrigerator, and I'll punch it down tomorrow morning and leave it back in the oven and let it sit out again. It'll rise up again, but it's getting a very yeasty smell. You get that wonderful smell to it. And when I add the bread flour in, some of this is breaking down the protein structure, so this will actually bring back the bread structure that I need for the grill, make it a little bit stronger, but still have that real yeasty taste, that smell. It'll be wonderful. So that's also the reason why I had so much oil and so much sugar in here. Yeast need oil, and also you need oil for the grill, and yeast need sugar. They will eat on the flour, but I wanted to make sure I had a very active culture going on here, because I'll let it rise a little bit before I put it on the grill, but not that much. And I want to make sure that this has had every opportunity to develop flavor and to make sure that that colony is actively working. And again, you could leave this in the refrigerator and it would do this totally fine, but me, I like to have a really deep flavor, so that's a little trick that I do there. But like I said, you could leave it in the refrigerator and it would do just fine. It would just be a little slower, not much slower though. Alrighty, so this dough has risen, puffed it down, risen, puffed down. It's now nice and yeasty. I'm going to add about a half cup of flour. It's been raining last 2 or 3 days now and been very humid, so I may have to add more flour. That's something you just have to get used to. When you live in a humid environment, it's not all going to be the same, but probably about half a cup will probably do it of flour, and I'm using bread flour. I put a little bit too much flour in here, so I put it needed more flour. I put a half cup, not thinking do small amounts stupid. So what I'm going to do is just add in about another quarter cup of water and get this back to a dough. Just like that, a quarter of water plus maybe a tablespoon more added to it to fix the mess up, and now we got it. It might make just a slightly bigger pizza, but what's wrong with a little bit bigger pizza anyway? So there we go. Alright, so we're going to make probably one of the best things on God's green earth, and that is roasted garlic. And that's for our sauce. So all you do is cut a bulb of garlic in half and cover it with unctuous olive oil. And then after you've done that, put it in the oven, 350 degrees, and we're just going to slow roast it. Alright, it's been about 40 minutes. Went a little bit too long, but it's good. And so we're going to let this cool for now. Okay, in a medium-sized pot, I've got 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I've got 1 pound of Campari tomatoes. I like cherry tomatoes. If you can get a pound of cherry tomatoes, they're going to give you the best flavor. Not the grape tomatoes, but the cherry tomatoes. Grape tomatoes are too sweet. But the Campari tomatoes, they're very similar to cherry tomato, just a little bit bigger. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and fry them off in this oil. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little sea salt taste. Alright, now we're going to add in our garlic. If you're doing this, I would have probably pulled back about 15 minutes earlier. I just kind of overcooked the garlic just a little bit. You want it to be just barely toasted on top, but this will be fine. It's still soft here, you can tell it, but you want it to be where it just kind of squeezes out like toothpaste. This right here is basil, so what I'm going to do is take the leaves off, and I'm just going to put the stems into our tomato sauce. So I was being a little bit of special, and I actually threw in some leaves while I was getting my stems. So I'm going to heat this up. We're going to bring this up to a nice simmer, and then we're going to jizz it with the immersion blender and sieve it. Alright, as soon as the tomatoes start breaking down, you can add your garlic and your basil, and once it's all kind of breaking down, you jizz it with the immersion blender, and that's it. I mean, you're talking less than 7 minutes to make this sauce. Now we're going to pass it through a sieve. You just get you a strainer, a fairly fine mesh strainer, and just put over a bowl and just kind of sieve it out until you got all your chunky bits and seeds and pulp and all that out of it, and just got a nice sauce. So here's the sieve, just put over the bowl. Now all you do is just kind of take your spoon and kind of help it go through the sieve. This sauce is on point. My goodness, is it good. I could eat a bowl full of this. In fact, this is my favorite sauce to put over pasta. It's so freaking simple, but it's so good. Alright, I'm going to finish this up. I'll be back in a minute. This is why you sieve stuff. See all those pieces of skin and seed and leaves and all that, and then you got this right here, which is really nice. Now be sure you use a clean spoon and scrape off the sides so you can get all that goodness. But yeah, you got a nice pure product at the end that's creamy, velvety, full of flavor, and all of these solids that would detract from the eating experience, you throw that away. You've got everything you can out of them. Alright, it's time to make the pizzas. Now, I'm not one of these big YouTubers that have a fancy pizza spiel, or pizza peel, sorry. So, what I do is I take a sheet tray, turn it over, wet it, and then put parchment paper so it holds down, and then I put flour on top. Now we're going to make the pizza part right here, and we'll assemble it. So then we just slide it onto the grates once it's ready. Our dough is more than doubled in size, so what we'll do is go ahead and divide it into half. Now what we'll do is start spreading this out and get it into kind of a disc shape. It's alright if it's oblonged a little bit, because we got a small grill, so we don't want to be too big, but try to get it pizza shape-ish. Alright, so that right there is roughly 12 inches across, what I consider to be a personal pizza. Alright, and we'll do the next one. And for a rolling pin, I just used one of the tumblers that my wife makes. So, I mean, anything that you can use, rolling pin will work fine. I don't have a rolling pin, so I use a tumbler. You can use a wine bottle, it really doesn't matter. Alright, now it's time to add the sauce. So what we'll do is we'll just put a dollop in the center, spread it out, keep adding it until we get to the edges. Alright. Just like that. Now we put just a little bit of Parmesan cheese, shredded. Finally, we top this with some mozzarella. This will go on top, or go on the grill, and then as it comes off, we'll put pieces of shredded, just torn up pieces of basil on top, and after it's off the grill and piping hot. And that's my take on a pizza margherita. Now this pizza starts off very similar to the margherita with the sauce and parm. Now normally you put artichoke hearts on it, but I got hearts of palm, so I'm putting hearts of palm on here. So it's not cheese. It looks like cheese, but it's not. It is hearts of palm cubed up. We're putting this on here. Now these are Kalamata olives, so they kind of taste like cross between a black olive and a green olive. And normally you would use artichoke, olives, and then capers, and that's a alla putana. But in this case, I'm using hearts of palm and Kalamata olive, and that kind of mimics the flavors and reduces the amount that you have to pay out in ingredients. So this is my take on the alla putana. What I'll do is put this on, let it heat, and then I'll put mozzarella on at the very end so that all this can get nice and crispy and got all that good flavor going. Now the pizzas have been assembled. Time to get a good pile of coals going. I was already doing a video for some deer meat that I had smoking, and so I decided I'd use these coals here to get a coal bed going and clean out my fire pit a little bit, put a little bit of wood on there. We'll get this nice and hot and we'll put on the pizzas. Okay, says we're right at about 450 degrees. I'll go ahead and take this spatula and make sure that it's coming off easy, because that's the one thing that can stick. You don't want it to stick. If there's any sticking issues, that'll be a problem. And then like that. Now do this again, make sure that there's no stickage issues. There shouldn't be, because we use flour. Once you got made sure it's that way, you got to do it real quick. Little thing like that. Of course it went off, don't worry about that, it happens, ain't no biggie. This is mine anyway. So see how it's bubbling right there from there. Now what we'll do is close this down real quick, let the heat get to it. We'll be back in a second. All I did is took my spatula and just kind of moved it around, make sure any hot spots are going on, get them stopped. Spin this around because it's trying to burn a little bit. Don't want it to burn.
Don't be burning my pizza.
Oh yeah, that is gorgeous right there. So we're going to put some basil on here. Finish her off. The cheese trying to slide off, so we're going to hurry up with this. This one right here needs mozzarella cheese. Copious amounts. So, guys, my wife was playing camera, and thank you. She has been threatening me that she's going to create a channel about going behind and telling the story about stuff that you don't see and all that with my channel. And so I just want to know, do you think that's a good idea? I've told her to do it, but please tell her in the comments that you want it, if you want it. What we're going to do is we're going to let this get a little heat on it. We'll be back in a second. I mean, literally just a few seconds. Alright. This is going to be the fun part, trying to get this pizza off because I don't have a peel. That cheese trying to slide off. Save the cheese. Save the cheese, y'all. That's where it's puffing up. That's what it is. Okay.
Casualties.
I know, casualties. Can't do anything about it. It's done. That's because I didn't have a pizza peel. This one, I'm going to go ahead and move it over a little bit to a different area. I'll get a little over some heat. There we go. Let's see where we're at there. It's almost there. Almost. I'll run this in. Don't that look good, folks? Alrighty. There we go. A lot better dismount there. Alright.
I noticed yours didn't have as much casualties.
Yes. Yeah, I know. It happens that way, babe. And here we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. So, I have some thoughts about the pizza. I was doing a video, it should be coming out pretty soon, where I was smoking some deer meat, venison. And I was doing a head-to-head between a very old marinade from the ancient Roman times versus a more traditional contemporary marinade. And I was wanting to see what the differences were as far as smoking, because I've never used them or used the Roman era marinade in a smoking application. I've never used it for anything other than pork, chicken, or fish. So I want to see how it was with venison. I've never used red wine either. So I've got some stuff coming out, so be on the lookout for that video. But with the pizzas, I had some issues, and I want to talk about them. First and foremost, because I was in a hurry and in a time constraint, I didn't let the wood fully burn to coals. I wish I'd done that. You need to get just coals. For this application, I think charcoal will be fine. You can either use briquettes or you can use the hardwood charcoal. I was using Chinese tallow wood or popcorn tree. That's what I always use for my smoking. In this application, I think that wasn't a good choice. My wife, she didn't tend to say anything bad about it. I asked her about it because I didn't like it. She said that for her it tasted fine, but for me I could taste a difference, and I felt a little dissonance there in the flavors. And so I felt that it would done better if I had used oak wood, and really and truly for that application I think charcoal would have been better. Now my grill, again, if you watch my videos, this is an inherited grill, and so that means that it's got some flaws. And one of the flaws that I do not like about it is that I cannot control how far away my food is from the coals. If you have that ability, you want this a little bit, where you can control it, because the Margherita pizza did get a little bit too done on the bottom. And I didn't like that. The other thing is that my grill is very narrow. I can't put a regular pizza tray on my grill grate. If you put a regular pizza tray on your grill grates, I think that's the better solution. I would just put them on the tray and then you can move them about, and it makes it a lot easier. If you can't, then you may want to come up with a like some type of tray or something other that you can fit on your grill and move it about. That would be better than the way I did it. I did the best for what I had. And that's the thing, whenever you're grilling or smoking, you have to use what you have and adjust accordingly. And so that's what I had, and that was my best solution. The other thing is that you need your crust to be super thin so that it can cook. But in that process, it puffs up in the center. And so because it was puffing up in the center, I didn't have anything kind of hold it up. That mozzarella on the Margherita, it was cut about 1/3 of an inch thick. And so as it puffed up, it just kind of was sliding off to the sides. I didn't like that. Cut it thinner. That would have helped. Use less cheese and cut it thinner. That would have been a better choice. But all in all, my wife loved it. I think you'll like it. If you want me to do another pizza video, I think I can get me a pizza tray that will fit on my grate. And there is a pizza that we have around here called a pig out. It has all sorts of stuff on it. Peppers, onions, different types of meats, pineapple, ham, you name it. It is just, there's a local pizzeria that sells it. It's one of my favorite pizzas. Now I like an alla puttana. Now I did my version of alla puttana. The one that is at a local pizzeria, a different one, is a very good alla puttana. I just did mine because I was trying to cut along the costs, because a lot of these ingredients kind of mimic each other, and I don't see where it adds much benefit to have similar flavors. So I kind of lumped all the flavors into certain ingredients so that I was getting the same flavors, less ingredients. But theirs is a very good alla puttana. But this pig out, my goodness, it is my favorite. If you want to see me do a grilled pizza, pig out pizza, let me know in the comments. Another thing, if you have not seen my FIOBOC review, this is one of the shirts that I reviewed, and they are the best, most comfortable, coolest t-shirts I've ever owned. So if you would like a shirt like this, you want to feel great, they look great, you stay cool, they're comfortable, they don't stretch out, they're awesome. I am now a brand ambassador with FIOBOC, and you can help out the channel. There is a link down in the description. If you use KenJo882 as the promo code at checkout, you can get 20% off. So that is a way that you can help out the channel. With that, I hope you like this video. Please make a grilled pizza. Tell me how you like it. If you try one of my recipes, I'd love to see your thoughts on it, how you would improve upon it. Again, I would use a pizza tray. I would just use charcoal. I wouldn't try to use smoking, or if I did use wood, I would use oak. I just think that you need a very neutral wood. But other than that, I would love to hear your comments on this. It's a great game day thing to put on the grill that most people wouldn't be expecting. And if you like this video, you might like this video up here. And you might also like this video right here. Then there's also another video down below that YouTube thinks that you might like based off of your watching preferences. And the reason why I say that is because this video is over. Bye.